on the various, one, there doesn't seem to be a recognition that Mr. Modi's party has suffered a very serious setback. That, on the other hand, we have to also understand that it's not gone away, the problems still remain, but they have been dealt a very serious blow and they have suffered a very serious setback. I do not see any real recognition of that in the press and the channels, in the so-called national channels. Particularly, I do not see any recognition of the role that the farmers and farmers' agitations have played in dealing such a deadly blow to the regime. I can see about 60-70 Lok Sabha seats where the farmers' agitation had a serious impact. Let's take Punjab and Haryana. Last time the BJP swept Haryana, 10 out of 10 seats, and together with the Shiromani Akali Dal in Punjab, we publish every day in 15 languages, including Malayalam. So please, if you want to know anything about what is happening in rural India, please read PARI, People's Archive of Rural India. We publish every day in Malayalam also. We publish in all the southern languages and even in Assamese. If you look at the People's Archive, you will see stories and videos. In Punjab, in village after village, BJP Lok Sabha candidates were stopped at the edge of the village and asked to answer 11 questions. Only if you answer those questions, we will allow you to enter the village. The questions included, who are these people stopping the candidates? Farmers. They stopped the candidates and asked them 11 questions, including some. I'll just tell you a few. When you are now coming to our village, when we came to Delhi, where you want to go, where you want us to elect you, you met us with rubber bullets, lathis, tear gas, water cannon. Here we are welcoming, we are stopping you with, not with bullets and tear gas, but with 11 questions. Why did you do this to us when we came to Delhi? You answer that as the first question. You answer why you made a promise in 2014 that you would implement MSP according to Swaminathan formula. And then after coming to power, you betrayed that promise. Explain why you did this. In village after village, the candidate withdrew and went away from the village, including Captain Amarinder Singh's wife, a 4-time parliamentarian. She went and took her complaint to Times of India in an interview that they are not allowing us to answer, they are not allowing us to enter the villages to campaign. The farmers kept saying, we are not stopping you from entering. If you answer our questions honestly, we will welcome you in our village, but you answer our questions. After all, as a candidate in an election, you are obliged to answer our questions. If you want our votes, you answer our question. The BJP has been wiped out in the Punjab and taken a huge beating in Haryana. In Haryana, there was an additional reason. The additional reason was the struggle of the women wrestlers who were humiliated in Delhi by the government, and the women wrestlers. By the way, all these wrestlers, whether in Haryana or in Maharashtra, they all come from the peasantry. They all come from farming stock. So that also fed into it. So 14 constituencies, Chandigarh and 14 constituencies in Chandigarh and Punjab, the BJP and its allies were simply obliterated. Maharashtra, second highest number of constituencies in the country, 48. Farmers' issues were at the forefront. Though in your media you think it's only about onion prices. It's not only about onion prices. It is about MSP. It is about milk prices. It is about MSP and support for cotton. All these issues, you will find that in the farming belt of Maharashtra, the BJP was smashed. Farmer, what? How many constituencies? Maybe more than 20 of the maybe 20 to 25 constituencies, the farmer vote was very serious in Maharashtra. Incidentally, Mr. Modi he had 18 rallies in different constituencies. The BJP lost 15 of those 18 seats. 15 of the 18 seats. When in 21, the Tamil Nadu elections were held and the farmers' struggle was on in Delhi. 1 lakh farmers at the gates of Delhi. In Tamil Nadu, there also the exit polls got it wrong. One agency got it right. One exit poll agency, APT, they got it correct. They were the only research agency, market research, pollster, who asked one question. Now, where is Delhi? Where is Tamil Nadu? Where is Tamil Nadu? Two different ends of the country. They asked the people of Tamil Nadu in the opinion poll, what is your attitude towards the farmers protesting in Delhi? Because remember, everybody was saying, this is only Punjab, Haryana agitation. That was the only question that any agency asked before Stalin's victory in Tamil Nadu. And guess what the reply was? 82% of Tamilians said total solidarity with the farmers. Total. Now, if that question had been asked in Kerala, you would have got a higher percentage. But 82% said total solidarity. In Maharashtra, how many people know that 3,000 farmers from Maharashtra and many from Kerala, from Kisan Sabha Kerala, 3,000 farmers from Maharashtra went and stayed in Delhi for weeks and months. In fact, one of the 5 camps around Delhi, one was not allowed to cross Haryana. On the Rajasthan-Haryana border was the camp called Shah Jahanpur. And that was entirely a left-run farmers' camp. And if you went to Shah Jahanpur and you went and saw the volunteers, there were people speaking in all 4 South Indian languages. And look at the impact that had on Rajasthan, where the BJP was defeated in 12 constituencies. You should know what those constituencies are to understand the historic importance. There is a belt in Rajasthan called Shekhawati. The Shekhawati area includes constituencies like Churu, Junjunu, Sikar, this area, this belt, has huge significance in two connected ways. One, it is the center of farmers' struggle in Rajasthan. Incidentally, the winner from there, can you imagine, in Rajasthan, the winner from that area is Comrade Amraram, okay? A CPIM farm leader, and he led the farmers' struggle in Rajasthan. They were, his comrades and he were responsible largely for the Shah Jahanpur camp on the border of Rajasthan, Haryana. But there's another reason. The same belt is one of the biggest recruitment areas for the Indian Army. People from Sikar, Junjunu, Churu have been joining the army since East India Company time. There are families in this belt. 5 generations have gone into the army, into the armed forces. So you brought, BJP, Mr. Modi brought Agniveer. I predicted at the time that you will be deserted by the Veer and burnt by the Agni. Many people do not understand, many middle class and urban people do not understand one very, very important fact about our armed forces. The Indian Jawan is a Kisan in uniform. The Indian soldier is a farmer in uniform. That, please remember 1965 slogan, Jai Jawan, Jai Kisan. That was the significance of that slogan. That was the significance of the slogan. Every farmer household, every third farmer household in the area, in Rajasthan or Bihar or these places, sent someone to the army. So, by the way, before I forget, please know that the most powerful MP, one of the most powerful ministers, Ajay Mishra Teni, do you remember him? His son's jeep ran over 4 farmers and a journalist and killed them in 2021 while attacking the farmers on a procession. He has been defeated by the farming community of Lakhimpur Kheri. They have defeated him strongly in this present upsurge in UP. There is a whole belt in UP where the farmers again defeated the BJP candidates. In Rajasthan, 12 constituencies. In UP, I do not have a count of how many. In Maharashtra, 25 constituencies. In Haryana, 5. In Bihar, at least 4. Farmers had a very huge role in the defeat of the Modi regime in this 2024 election. Why also is a good question. After all, the agrarian crisis is not resolved. The agrarian crisis is not over. But what did the farmers achieve in Delhi? What the farmers of... Did your media ever tell you that the Kisan Andolan, the farmer struggle at Delhi, was the largest in the whole world? It was the largest peaceful, democratic protest for justice anywhere in the world, and it was organized at the height of the pandemic. In June, when they brought the farm laws as an ordinance, first they brought it as an ordinance. I asked a BJP leader, why now? The whole bloody country is reeling under COVID-19 pandemic. We're talking about 2020. The whole country was reeling under COVID pandemic. Why do you bring these ordinances now? Why do you bring these laws now? And he said, इसलिए कि अभी सब घर में बैठा है डर में. Everybody's, all these farmers, all your friends, they're all sitting cowering in fear in their houses, frightened of COVID. They will not dare resist. Those were famous last words. Within 5 months, 1 lakh people from the farming community were camped at the gates of Delhi. सब घर में बैठा है डर में. Meanwhile, in September that year, the government smashed through the laws. They could not win in the upper house. So they threw out 8 Rajya Sabha MPs, suspended them for 1 week, including Kerala's A.K. Ragesh, was suspended for a week. Even though the Lok Sabha TV, the video, the Rajya Sabha TV, shows that he is not in the well of the house, he is raising the valid question of demanding a division of vote on the amendments brought by the opposition to the farm laws. And the Rajya Sabha the deputy chairman, who I am very sorry to say was a very long time old friend of mine and fellow journalist, Harivansh, threw out 8 people because they knew that they would lose the vote on the farm laws. Even then they did not have confidence that they could win. So they held a voice vote. My dear friends, in the Constitution of India, there is no such provision as voice vote. Voice vote is when there is, you want to say, Mr. Speaker, can we extend lunch by 1 hour? That sort of trivial issue, you have voice vote on. The Rajya Sabha rule number 252 allows a voice vote. It also says, even if 1 member demands a division of vote, it must be held. The Speaker must give division of vote even if 1 member demands division of vote. That's what K.K. Ragesh was doing. He was asking for division of vote by each amendment. They threw them out. Then the farmers did not go to the court. The stooges, the touts of the cronies and chamchas of the government went to the court asking them to direct the farmers to withdraw. They're blocking traffic. They're hurting traffic into Delhi. The government of India ordered the security forces to dig 10 feet by 20 feet trenches in the national highway. The farmers did not dig the trenches. The government of India did. And the same government which brought a law about destruction of public property. Nobody has fined the government for the destruction of public property. Anyway, the matter went to Supreme Court. Supreme Court, in its wisdom, appoints a committee of experts. I was asked to sit on that committee. I said that before this whole thing is over, you will kill your own committee. Because the farmers have no interest in your committee, they are going to fight, they are going to win. Justice Bobade announced my name in open court. It was very embarrassing. After all, he was Chief Justice, and you have to respect the position. I said, I will do whatever the farmers say that I should do, I will do. If they say I should sit there, I will. But they are saying no, and I will not. Anyway, they formed a 4-member committee of experts. The court's question was, let us solve this problem, have this expert committee, give recommendations, and in 2 months, I asked them, if you want an expert committee, are the 4 of us greater experts than MS Swaminathan? Why don't you ask the government to implement the Swaminathan report, which is a Government of India report, National Commission of Farmers report? You don't do that. Yeah. And in 2 months, we are going to produce a superior report to what Swaminathan's team produced in 2 years. Utter nonsense. And this government came to power promising to implement MSP equal to comprehensive cost of production plus 50%. It said within 12 months we will do this. Within 3 months, it gave an affidavit in the Supreme Court saying, not feasible, it will distort market prices. So the farmers rejected the Supreme Court committee and continued with their struggle, and they won that struggle, and the Supreme Court suppressed the report of its own committee. That committee was all 4 complete corporate chamchas, and the hilarious thing about the committee, one of those committee members is from Punjab. He resigned before the first meeting because he wanted to go home, and it was not possible for him to enter Punjab. So he resigned. So the 25% of the committee was lost before the first meeting. Anyway, the other 3 produced what their corporate masters wanted them to. The report was suppressed. They released the report by themselves because the court would not release it. In fact, contempt of court, if you like. But this was the background. And in this background, what is it that the farmers taught us that is more important than the votes and the voting? I say that they had a decisive impact in over 50 constituencies. But there is something more important. Do you know that till then, the biggest struggle for justice in this millennium was Occupy Wall Street in United States, where a few thousand young Americans, mostly techies, occupied Wall Street on the slogan of inequality. You are the 1%, we are the 99%, and they were challenging corporate power. They lasted 9 weeks, and then New York police threw them out of the park, Zuccotti Park, where they had occupied. Your farmers lasted 53 weeks, and they withdrew in victory. Nobody could throw them out. They brought armored vehicles, they hit them with water cannon, they hit them with lathis, they brought, Trampoline, barbed wire, accordion barbed wire, thousands of feet of barbed wire. They dug trenches of 10 feet by 20 feet. There was a bigger mobilization there than on the line of actual control with China. We were fighting. Who were you attacking? You were attacking the farmers. This February, how shameful that we became the first nation in the world to use drone warfare against our own farmers. Drone warfare, Ukraine, Russia, they are using drone warfare to kill each other. We used in Haryana, drone warfare, in which case, because the drones were taking 6 to 8 canisters of tear gas and dropping them on the protesters. We were used, so incidentally, a journalist got his head very badly injured in one of those tear gas canisters hitting him. So you use drone, what great achievement for India. Number one, drone warfare against your own people. In which country of the world has this happened? Drone warfare against your own people. What the farmers taught us is the meaning of the word resistance. They taught us that you can resist, you can fight, and you can win, and you can defeat these forces. That is the great achievement of the farmers. The meaning of resistance. And you will see how many other movements it will feed into. So this was the first thing. I think that it was absolutely fantastic. And of course, everybody is stunned over what happened in Uttar Pradesh. What happened in Ayodhya? You know, has Lord Ram fought his last electoral battle for the BJP? Actually, maybe not. Maybe Lord Ram figured out who the 10-headed monster really is. So that is one part. But I also want to tell you something about this place called Ayodhya, which I have visited many times. You should know that that area has a very strong left tradition, destroyed in the last 20 years by the fundamentalist attacks, physical and political. Do you know that Ayodhya is a segment in the Faizabad Lok Sabha constituency. Faizabad has several times been represented by left members in parliament. In 1989, at the height of the Mandir struggle, that first phase which began in 84, at the height of the Mandir struggle, the good people of Faizabad, overwhelmingly Hindus, elected Mitra Sen Yadav of CPI, of Communist Party of India. Now in Faizabad, there are these different segments. Ayodhya, Akbarpur. Even funnier than electing Mitra Sen Yadav of CPI, in Akbarpur, where there was serious trouble over the Mandir, the good people of that segment, they elected an MLA from the CPIM, and what was his name? His name was Babar. The CPM MLA's name from the Ayodhya region, his name was Babar. So I was there and I asked people in this area, how are you voting for CPI, CPM? These are all godless parties. They said much better, at least they can be impartial. They're not favoring one god over the other. So that was the reply I got. So I'm saying there is a history into these places that is not all fundamentalist. And you saw what happened in that election. As always, the issues of equality, inequality have come to the fore. You know, on the one hand, a pre-wedding ceremony of $120 million for Mukesh Ambani's son. Or recently, one of their pre-wedding activities in the Lake Geneva in Switzerland, they created such a nuisance. Our newspapers haven't written about it. They created such a nuisance, keeping up the city awake half the night, according to what newspaper reports I have read over there. And it says that the local, one big local restaurant, the owner is quoted, he refused to serve them sandwiches and things. saying that I do not approve of your behavior. I do not approve of your noise and your trouble. None of this gets reported on our TV channel. It got reported in Geneva. But the inequality issue, when, by the way, lakhs of parents in Vidarbha, Marathwada, tens of thousands of young girls have crossed the age 23, 24, their parents are not able to arrange for their marriages because they are bankrupt. Several farmers have taken their own lives in humiliation at being unable to get the daughter married. And sometimes 6 months, 3 months after that suicide, the daughter has also committed suicide. She blames herself wrongly. She blames herself for her father's suicide. And in the village, everybody will tell you, your father died because he could not get you married. They will tell you this. So several girls in the last 20 years that I have seen have taken their lives a few months after their fathers. Yeah, they don't have, in $120 million, you could get all of them married. This inequality issue is what I mainly want to talk to you about. Are you aware that income inequality in India today is greater than it was in the 1920s, in 1921, at the height of the British Raj, at the height of British colonialism? You can see the reports of the Inequality Lab by people like Thomas Piketty, etc., where they show you that the gaps are bigger than they were in 1921. Of course, there were many other aspects to colonialism which were much, much worse. The number of people who died. But inequality levels are so terrible. If you can an ordinary Indian achieve the wealth of Mukesh Ambani? So I sat down and did some calculations. Can an ordinary Indian achieve the wealth of Mukesh Ambani? I took as ordinary Indian the Narega worker, National Rural Employment Guarantee Program. That would be an ordinary Indian. And to my surprise, I found that yes, Narega worker can earn as much as wealth as Mukesh Ambani, not income, as can. Only it will take 2.6 million years to earn the annual income. It will take 6,000 years. Okay. This kind of inequality, and please know how it is. See, the inequality has also in the last 5-10 years been so severely a state-enforced inequality that if you have been watching the videos from Uttar Pradesh, where people are also saying, Amit Shah, Yogi Adityanath supporter and BJP voter has given interviews saying, Amit Shah, you have done enough damage here. Please take all your Gujarati contractors from Varanasi and go back and let local people also get some work. But anyway, the whole point is also, it's not just these 10 years. Ever since we embarked and embraced neoliberalism in the name of globalization, we embraced neoliberal capitalism in 91. In 1991, there were $0 billionaires in India. Today, there are 200. 200. We are number 3 in the world in the number of dollar billionaires. Okay? We are number 3 in the world USA is first, Germany I think is second. We've overtaken China and Russia. China sometimes goes above us. Russia firmly we have overtaken. And as I always say, don't compare Chinese and Russians to us. No. We are a mature democracy. In Russia, every 5 years they send half their billionaires to prison. In India, every 5 years, we send half our billionaires to parliament. In 2004, in 2004, we introduced the election affidavit. It's a wonderful creature, election affidavit. Self-declaration of your worth. No income tax return attached, nothing. You say, I am a humble Lakpati, fine. You say, do you know how many members of the present parliament are recorded as crorepati? In 2004, it was 32%. The figures I am giving you are from Association for Democratic Reforms, ADR. In 2004, number of crorepatis self-declared, 32%. 2009, 53%. 2014, 82%. 2019, 88%. 2024, 90% plus. I'm told it's almost 93%. Now 93% of a parliament of crorepati's is going to represent some of the poorest people in the world. What justice is there in that? How is it possible? How is it possible? And by the way, this time the pressure was on every political party to put up the richest candidates. Why? Because the Bharatiya Janata Party and Mr. Modi, the primary source of their electoral victory is that they have destroyed the funding ecosystem of every other political force in the country. The largest opposition party has 1,400 crores blocked by income tax. In your in Thrissur, you had just before the elections, you had the IT freezing the account of the Zilla Parishad, of the Zilla Committee of the CPIM, I think. Yeah. You completely destroy the funding ecosystem of every rival political force. This is the least fair and free election in our history. I have covered elections since 1980. This is the most unfair election. In strongholds of opposition, like say, Congress has some strongholds in Chhattisgarh, where we could not find one hoarding or poster or leaflet of the Congress party because their candidate did not have money, did not have resources. So what political parties did, they put up their richest candidates, those who could afford the campaign by themselves, and therefore your number of crorepatis is going up. Only those candidates who could afford their own campaign came, even on the opposition. So this is one of those things that you have to understand. Now 3-4 problems looking ahead in terms of what we all need to do. And Kerala has several advantages in 3 or 4 of this. One is the struggle for federalism, which is at the heart of many of the battles that are going on. I mean, everyone knows the single monster in the room is, GST, okay, which has destroyed the revenue raising capabilities of the states. We need to get rid of this. They talk about unified capitalist market requires a uniform tax rate. All nonsense. Is there a bigger capitalist economy than the United States? Every state has 3 rates of taxation. When I was teaching, I have taught in the United States at Princeton. from my salary slip, they deduct local taxes, they deduct state taxes, and they deduct federal taxes. Okay? And every state of 50 states in the United States has different rates. Secondly, like when I want to buy electronics in the United States, I have them all ordered to friends in Oregon, Portland, Oregon. Why? Because New York, if you buy off Amazon also, 8.25% taxes, Oregon 0%. Oregon is the heart, Portland is the heart of Intel. So electronics has been given a very good deal there. Everybody is making use of their comparative advantage. So, don't believe this nonsense that there has got to be a single rate of taxation across the country. That is not true. Look at, who it is useful for? It is useful for corporations that have nationwide operations. Is it useful for a cooperative of weavers? Even in Kerala, there are weavers cooperatives. Now, that weavers, I can talk to you about Bihar weavers cooperative. Now, the Bihar weavers cooperatives, once they have to start paying GST, they have to buy computers, they have to get an accountant, CA, and they have to get a data entry person. As it is that weaver's daily margin is less than 200 rupees. Now, that margin you are going to cut into by buying computers, by hiring a chartered accountant. Please understand what it does to poor people. Now, if it's Tata or Ambani or Adani, in Bombay they have buildings in which one floor is their legal and accounting department. For them it makes sense to have one uniform percentage across the country. Does it make sense if Kudumbashree is having to pay GST? Does it make sense for them? Of course it does not. That sort of thing. We have to reclaim federalism, and that's what the farmers did. They told the government of India, agriculture is a state subject. What right do you have to pass these laws at the center? But they still did it. Please understand, they will do it again. They will do it again unless there is that resistance we have learned from the farmers. Then another, when we are talking about drone warfare, I was reminded of the fact that one of the great claims of this government is that they have made us great on the international stage. 3 days ago, I don't know how many of you saw it, there was a photograph of a bomb that has fallen on that Palestinian refugee camp. You know what that bomb says? Made in India. Made in India. Please go and see these photographs. You have to look at Google because your newspapers and your channels will not show you. Made in India bomb falling on Palestinian children. This has made us great on the international stage. Do you know the first passport I owned? The first passport. I'm so proud of it, I keep it always. I got it in 1980 or 82. The first page of the Indian passport said, all countries except Israel and Republic of South Africa. That was the greatness and moral strength of the young Indian Republic. All countries except Israel and Republic of South Africa. Today, government of UP, Haryana, Delhi facilitate the going of 1 lakh workers to work in Israel in the occupied territories. You all know about the hiring of Indian labor for Israel. And, Our positions on this go back to the time of Gandhi. In 1939, he is criticizing the British for what is happening in Palestine. In 1939, he has written on it. Okay? In 1946, 1 year before we became independent, 1 year before we became independent, the interim government of Nehru broke all trade relations with South Africa. Do you know how much that hurt us? 5% of our export revenue came from export to South Africa. A poor country coming out of colonialism, starvation, hunger, famine, said, never mind, we will not export goods to South Africa. And in 1954, we closed our consular facilities all across South Africa. In Cape Town, Johannesburg, we shut down our consular facilities. This is the India to be proud of. Not an India whose made in India bombs are falling on the heads of little children. Yeah? I mean, what was the... And for the first time in our lives, on the first voting in the UN General Assembly, 7 nations voted in favor of Israel, and India was one of them. The leader of the, G20, how much tamasha, natak, dance, drama we had over our leadership of G20. We were the most isolated nation amongst third world nations in the United Nations General Assembly in October 2023. We were the most isolated nation. Why? Because you voted with United States, Israel. I mean, you all know that, and I don't need to tell you about that. The elections to come are going to be also very important. Okay? In the next 3.5 months, the Maharashtra elections are coming. Incidentally, every are resolved, we need to ask ourselves that question. One last thing that I want to talk to you about, because it's so important for Kerala. We should not lose sight of the long-term problems, the long-term issues. One, as I said, this is not just Modi government. The Modi government has come, and the terrible things that the UPA government was doing, it did it on a much larger scale, and it brought communalism into the whole field. Actually, let me quote Arun Shuri, former BJP minister, when he was talking about economics, BJP, Congress. He defined the difference between BJP and Congress in a single line. He said, BJP is Congress plus cow. BJP is Congress plus cow, scaled up many times. That was what he defined it as. I think he had a point. Because, look, the way previous governments have functioned have helped fundamentalism grow, have helped... See, no one... Just let me give you one little more example. I'll take another minute. In the anti-cow slaughter, additional anti-cow slaughter bills, you don't suffer them because you are Kerala. Okay, Kerala and Goa are exempt. But in Karnataka and in Maharashtra, when they brought the new cow slaughter amendments in 2015, Bombay's biggest zoo, Baikalla Zoo, every television crew in the world started coming there because the lions were being fed chicken. I mean, do you know how many chicken you have to kill to feed one lion? So anyway, so for 3 days, 4 days that happened. Then they sort of started bringing in beef in the night, quietly in the night. But please understand what happens to the economics of poor people when you do this. I give you the chain in Maharashtra. Why do they have a ban on cow slaughter? Because they are targeting Muslims. But do you think it is only Muslims who are hurt by the ban? You're wrong. Please. Much larger numbers of Hindus are also hurt by it. Let me explain this to you. So you have the ban. What happens when you have the ban? Cattle markets collapse. If you are an IAS aspirant and you get in and you go to Lal Bahadur Shastri Academy, one of the things they teach you as a probationer, if cattle market prices in your district fall by 30%, you have a crisis. You have a rural crisis. After these new bans on cow slaughter and even buffalo slaughter and everything else, the cattle market prices from Maharashtra to Tamil Nadu fell 60 to 80%. Who are the majority of farmers? Not Muslims. Maratha farmers took a big beating by the action. I was asking some of the farmers who have 6-8 cows, why don't you go and sell them? He said, are you crazy? On the highways, there is Bajrang Dal and BHP. They catch me, they'll kill me. I just have to watch my cattle die. There is no other choice. Then, at the cattle, so the farmers are, many of them Marathas. In the cattle market, the person, the commission agent who does the bidding, who takes the bidding and all that, he is an ODC. Okay? Then at the cattle market, even in Kerala you will find, there will be people who will make those bells, shoes. They are all Adivasis and Dalits. And the skin and hide of the cattle market in Maharashtra goes into one of the most famous Indian brands, Kolhapuri Chappal. Everybody in this room knows what Kolhapuri Chappal is, right? Who makes Kolhapuri Chappal? Who does the skinning, tanning, hiding? Dalits. You destroyed, you talk make in India. Kolhapur Chappal was make in India brand 100 years before Mr. Modi was heard of. So understand these actions. But in fighting this, it's not just fighting the action there. It's also fighting for rationalism. This country has suffered a severe fall in rational thinking. In Kerala is cradle and home to the rationalist movement. I have come many times just for KSSP to Kerala. It is the home of rationalist thought. We are going to have to revive that rationalist thinking. Understand one thing about fundamentalists. They are not so scared of secularists. They are really worried about rationalists. That's why the 4 leading public intellectuals who have been assassinated in the last 10 years, Narendra Dabolkar, Govind Pansare, M.M. Kalburgi, Gauri Lankesh, they were all rationalists. They were all, by the way, journalists. They all ran magazines, newspapers. They were all rationalists. They ran newspapers and in their own languages, in Indian languages. And they were a huge challenge to fundamentalism. Please understand that we need to rebirth the rationalist movements in this country. And lastly, what these fundamentalists and others do is possible in our situation to get away with it because we have a completely despicable so-called mainstream media. Actually, I don't call them mainstream. How can you be mainstream media if you exclude 80% of the population? They are correct. The correct word is corporate media. Do you know how big this media is in this country? The Indian media and entertainment industry, according to Ernst and Young, the services agent, like Standard and Poor, Ernst and Young, was 23.2 trillion rupees, 12 zeros. That's about $28 billion, $25 billion. 5 weeks ago, Mukesh Ambani entered into a deal with Disney Hotstar for $8.5 billion. $8.5 billion. So your media industry is worth something like $35 billion, out of which overwhelming share. Up to the pandemic, we were adding average 4-5 billionaires every year. In the first 12 months of the pandemic, we added 42 billionaires. In the 36 months following the pandemic, we've gone from 98 billionaires, which it took 20 years, but in 3 years, we have added 102 billionaires. Your 200 billionaires account for almost 1/4 of your gross domestic product. $954 billion is their value, and you have a $3 trillion economy, $3.5 trillion economy. If you can't fight inequality, if we can't fight irrationalism, we will not succeed. We will defeat them, they will come back. We need to be able to do that. We need to be able to do that, and it means engaging in the battle for control of history, language, culture, all of which are being rewritten. One tiny upper caste culture from one part of Uttar Pradesh is being bandied everywhere in the world as Indian culture, Hindu culture, which is now Indian culture. One of the great things your neighbors in Tamil Nadu have always done is raise the language issue seriously, very strongly. And Kerala is so correctly proud of its language. On all these fronts, language, history, culture, nationalism, federalism, the challenge is in these, and the economic policies, we are anyway fighting those you know and I know, but we also have to fight on these fronts. It can be done, and the people of India have just shown us it can be done. Thank you.
Now we go for a short interaction. Some questions can be.
നിങ്ങളെല്ലാം കാണുവാൻ ചില ആശയങ്ങൾ പങ്കുവെക്കുവാനും കഴിയുന്നതിൽ അതിയായ സന്തോഷമുണ്ട്. പ്രത്യേകിച്ച് KGOയുടെ 58ാമത് സംസ്ഥാന സമ്മേളനത്തിൽ അതിൻ്റെ നടത്തിപ്പ് നിക്ഷിപ്തമായിട്ടുള്ളത് ഒരു വനിതാ ജനറൽ കൺവീനറായിട്ടുള്ള സ്വാഗത സംഘത്തിനാണ് എന്ന് അറിഞ്ഞതിൽ അതിയായ സന്തോഷമുണ്ട്. അതിന് ഞാൻ ഭാരവാഹികളെ പ്രത്യേകമായി അഭിനന്ദിക്കുന്നു. ജെൻഡർ ഇക്വാളിറ്റി കേവലമായ പ്രഖ്യാപനങ്ങൾക്കപ്പുറത്തേക്ക് യാഥാർത്ഥ്യമാക്കുവാൻ പരിമിതമായ അളവിലാണെങ്കിലും കഴിയുന്നു എന്നത് ചാരിതാർത്ഥ്യജനകമാണ്. ഞാൻ വളരെ ചുരുക്കം ചില കാര്യങ്ങൾ നിങ്ങളോട് പറയുന്നുണ്ട്. ഒന്ന്, ഹിന്ദു ദിനപത്രത്തിൽ ഒരു കോളം വരാറുണ്ട്. അതില് സമ്പത്ത് എഴുതുന്ന ഒരു കോളമിസ്റ്റാണ്. അദ്ദേഹത്തിൻ്റെതായ ചില കുറിപ്പുകളാണ്. അതിലൊരു കുറിപ്പ്, അയോധ്യക്കുള്ള ബസ് പോയി, ഇനി വേണമെങ്കിൽ നിങ്ങൾക്ക് കാശിക്കുള്ള ബസ്സിലേക്ക് ഒരു ടിക്കറ്റ് എടുക്കാം എന്നതാണ്. നിങ്ങൾ ചെറുതെങ്കിലും വായിച്ചതാണ്. എങ്ങനെയാണ് മതത്തെ സമ്പത്തുണ്ടാക്കാൻ വേണ്ടി, ബിസിനസിന് വേണ്ടി ഉപയോഗപ്പെടുത്തുന്നത് എന്നതായിരുന്നു അതിന്റെ ഉള്ളടക്കം. അയോധ്യ എങ്ങനെയാണ് ഇന്ത്യയിലെ സമ്പന്ന കോർപ്പറേറ്റുകൾ അവരുടെ കൈക്കലാക്കിയെടുത്തതും അവരുടെ കൈവശപ്പെടുത്തിയതും കോടിക്കണക്കിന് രൂപയുടെ നിക്ഷേപവും അതിൽ നിന്ന് അവർക്ക് കിട്ടാൻ പോകുന്ന ലാഭവും ഇതേ രൂപത്തിൽ കാശിയെ എങ്ങനെ മാറ്റിയെടുക്കാം എന്നുള്ളതിനെ സംബന്ധിച്ച അണിയറയിലെ ആലോചനകളുമാണ് അതിന്റെ ഉള്ളടക്കം. ഇത്തരത്തിൽ സമ്പത്ത് ഉപയോഗപ്പെടുത്തിക്കൊണ്ട് വിവിധ രൂപത്തിൽ നേരത്തെ നമ്മൾ പറഞ്ഞ വ്യാവസായിക ശാലകളിലോ വാണിജ്യശാലകളിലോ മാത്രമല്ല, അതിനേക്കാൾ ഏറ്റവും നല്ല മുൻമുടക്ക് വലിയ ബുദ്ധിമുട്ടില്ലാതെ നിങ്ങളുടെ വിശ്വാസ പ്രമാണങ്ങളാണ്, മതവിശ്വാസമാണ്, അത്തരത്തിലുള്ള കാര്യങ്ങളെ ഉപയോഗപ്പെടുത്തിയാൽ കൂടുതൽ കൂടുതൽ സമ്പത്ത് ലഘുവായ മാർഗത്തിൽ ഉണ്ടാക്കാം എന്നതാണ്. മറ്റൊന്നുള്ളത് തെരഞ്ഞെടുപ്പുമായി ബന്ധപ്പെട്ട കാര്യങ്ങളിലേക്കൊന്നും ഞാൻ പോകുന്നില്ല, അതൊക്കെ സ്ഥലത്തെ. പക്ഷെ സംസ്ഥാനത്ത് KGOA 58 വർഷക്കാലം തെരഞ്ഞെടുപ്പോൾ സിവിൽ സർവീസുമായി ബന്ധപ്പെട്ടുകൊണ്ടുള്ള ചില കാര്യങ്ങളെ സംബന്ധിച്ച് നിങ്ങൾ പരിശോധിക്കുന്നത് നല്ലതായിരിക്കും. ഒരു പക്ഷേ നമ്മുടെ രാജ്യത്തെ ഗസറ്റഡ് ഉദ്യോഗസ്ഥന്മാരുടെ മേഖലയിലെ ഏറ്റവും പ്രബലമായ സംഘടനയാണ് കേരള ഗസറ്റഡ് ഓഫീസേഴ്സ് അസോസിയേഷൻ. ചില സംസ്ഥാനങ്ങളിലെല്ലാം ഗസറ്റഡ് ഓഫീസർമാരുടെ സംഘടനയുണ്ട്. ആ സംഘടനകളും ചിലതൊക്കെ നല്ല രൂപത്തിൽ പ്രവർത്തിക്കുന്ന സംഘടനകളും ഉണ്ടെങ്കിലും അതിൽ നിന്നെല്ലാം തിളക്കമാർന്ന മികവാർന്ന പ്രവർത്തനമാണ് KGOA നടത്തിക്കൊണ്ടിരിക്കുന്നത്. പക്ഷെ എന്നാൽ കേരളത്തിന്റെ സിവിൽ സർവീസിന് ചില പ്രത്യേകതകളുണ്ട്. ആ പ്രത്യേകത വളരെ കാര്യക്ഷമമായ രൂപത്തിൽ ചില കാര്യങ്ങൾ ഏറ്റെടുക്കാൻ നമുക്ക് കഴിയാറുണ്ട്. മാതൃകാപരമായ രൂപത്തിൽ അത്ര പ്രവർത്തനങ്ങളെ നമ്മൾ മുന്നോട്ട് കൊണ്ടുപോയിട്ട് വേണ്ടത്ര അളവിൽ സിവിൽ സർവീസ് കാര്യക്ഷമമാക്കി മാറ്റുവാൻ നമുക്ക് കഴിയുന്നുണ്ടോ എന്ന പരിശോധന നമ്മൾ നടത്തേണ്ടതുണ്ട്. നടപ്പിലാക്കുന്ന വികസന പ്രവർത്തനങ്ങളും ക്ഷേമ പ്രവർത്തനങ്ങൾക്കും ചുക്കാൻ പിടിക്കുന്നത് ഗസറ്റഡ് ഓഫീസർമാരാണ്. അങ്ങനെ ചുക്കാൻ പിടിക്കുമ്പോൾ അത് സമയബന്ധിതമായി നടപ്പിലാക്കുമ്പോൾ ഞാനതിന് അഴിമതിയെയും കാര്യക്ഷമതയെയും രണ്ടായി തന്നെയാണ് കാണുന്നത്. എവിടെയെങ്കിലും ചെറിയ രൂപത്തിലുള്ള ഒരു അഴിമതി എന്ന നിലയിൽ അതിനെ അത്ര വർഗീകരിക്കേണ്ട കാര്യമൊന്നും കേരളത്തിൽ ഞാൻ കാണുന്നില്ല. മറ്റു സംസ്ഥാനങ്ങൾ നടക്കുന്നതുമായി ബന്ധപ്പെട്ട് പരിശോധിച്ചാൽ സംസ്ഥാനങ്ങളിലെ ഒത്തിരി നന്നായി മനസ്സിലാക്കിക്കൊണ്ടാണ് ഞാൻ പറയുന്നത്. കേരളത്തിൽ അങ്ങനെയൊന്നുമില്ല. എന്നാൽ വേണ്ടത്ര അളവിൽ കാര്യക്ഷമമായി ഈ കാര്യങ്ങൾ ഏറ്റെടുക്കുന്ന കാര്യത്തിൽ നമ്മൾ മുന്നോട്ട്